Voxotel is a city center, full-service 4-star hotel. We have 250 rooms, 50 premium and 200 standard. Our annual plan is to achieve and maintain a level of guest satisfaction equal to or higher than our competitors, achieve and maintain an above fair market room share and an ADR equal to or higher than our competitors, and finally to generate an annual gross operating profit in excess of 25% and a return on equity in excess of 8%.
We have decided to enter the new year with prices higher than the ones given in the last year's rate summary, as we were expecting the economy to rebound. On average, we had increased the rates by 8% compared to the first quarter of the previous year, not taking into consideration the promotion. We were looking to achieve a fair share of the market's occupancy to begin with, upon which we could further build our strategy. Throughout the quarter, we failed to adapt our rates, which you can see from looking at our position at the end of the quarter on the price-value map. We were definitely undercharging for the quality that we provided as a hotel. We finished March with MPI of 105.3, therefore clearly overreaching on the occupancy compared to the fair share goal we set up for ourselves. Our ARI was very low at 90.9, giving us a disappointing revenue generating index of 96.3. That meant that we had to better adapt our rates to the competition. Thus, we decided that the overall strategy for the year will mainly be value-based pricing and the goal of our rates matching the hotel's quality on the price-value map, while capturing an above fair share portion of the demand.
The first RFP came in March. The group would occupy 125 rooms per night each week from Monday to Friday. To calculate the MAR, we used the following decision variables and came up with a bid price of $66 per night. However, another hotel succeeded to offer a lower price. Therefore, we did not get a group.
Given that the demand per channel is expected to follow the same pattern as last year, we utilized the same channel distribution as such. We used the same channel distribution throughout the whole year, never changing them. Looking back, we should have changed them at least each quarter. For the trigger points, our plan of action consists of two approaches. The first, looking at the market share, how many rooms per segment, and based off this, set higher or lower trigger points for different categories. The second, focus on filling the hotel with our target segment. In addition, adjusting the weekend and weekday segments depending on specific demands and target segments. For the beginning of the quarter, we focused on giving higher discounts to our target segments because we were aiming to achieve a higher occupancy level. Based on the low price and high occupancy in January, we decreased the rate reduction trigger points for all rooms, trying to increase our ADR and RGI. For the end of the quarter, we understood that we needed to maintain the reduction trigger points while increasing prices so that occupancy would fill up due to discounts. The rate increase trigger points set at 75% occupancy were not achieved because the market demand was not high enough to meet the threshold.
The hotel's facilities have not been refurbished since opening due to lack of funds. At the beginning of this year, we had $500,000 for refurbishment services and facilities. To make the first decisions, we looked at last year's guest survey. Our goal was to always be above 65 to 70% on reputation management for each facility, as our strategy was to achieve high quality. We decided to raise the guest satisfaction regarding guest rooms, therefore we picked the contracted cleaning and service option, which was a mistake, as we can only clean each facility twice a year. We also performed the soft goods redo on most of the common areas, as well as the restaurant and meeting rooms, as large group use them. We only made 2 renovations, the front desk and the bar lounge, as our business guests expect to have a place where to invite colleagues for meetings and socializing. In terms of facilities, we added a travel and tour desk for the tour groups, as they rated our hotel services quite poorly. The services added were guest room internet, as we expected it to generate quite some revenue, concierge for groups and transients, especially premium, turn-down service for premium guests, express check-in and express check-out for our business guests, and a mini bar to increase additional revenue per occupied room. At the end of the quarter, we were left with around $58,000, which is 11.6% of the initial amount. We consider that investing so much, combined with only being able to contract clean each facility twice a year, was a mistake, as by the end of the year our reputation decreased significantly.
To start the quarter, we invested in 4 marketing services. We invested in different channels, but with a focus on direct channels to avoid commission costs. We started with a very low investment strategy in order to understand our competition, and as a result, we received very negative social media comments. A better decision would have been to invest around 4 to 5% at least and adjust our spending gradually. The following month, we decided to implement a very aggressive marketing strategy with 5 to 7% of our revenue. We increased our spending slightly each month, maintaining the 40 to 50% of spending towards direct channels. The second month, we wanted to boost promotion by adding a PR agency and to help us with negative reviews. We prioritized our target markets, transients, and groups throughout the channels and noticed that most of the gains came from direct channels with an ROI 20% and GDS 22%. Yet our transient GDS index was still very low, and thus we decided to increase our spending. We were able to increase our spending and improve our indexes and no longer receive negative comments on social media, so this is very successful.
We realized our mistake from the previous quarter and went into April with a steeper pricing strategy. Due to the provided seasonality, we knew that the market demand for the coming quarter would increase, and we could therefore match it with an increase in our rates. On average, we increased the prices by 5%. To our surprise, this led us to increasing MPI even further to 104.3 and not the ARI as we expected. This was due to our competitors raising their prices more than we did. Our RGI got a lot closer to the desired value and was at 99.2. According to the price value map for April, we were still, however, undercharging for the quality we provided. We also wanted to focus on increasing ADR, however, we got the group for that month with a minimum acceptable rate of $75, which made it more difficult. To counterbalance the lower room rate we proposed for the group, we increased the room rates by 12% in May for the segments that were not our focus. Those decisions led us to our best yearly RGI of 107.5. We lowered the rates back down in June by 10% and still managed to improve our ADR.
This quarter's request for proposal was made in May. The group requested 150 standard rooms per night from Monday to Friday every week, resulting in a total of 2,800 rooms in the month of May. Our occupancy in April was 66.7%, therefore we would displace about 1,000 transient guests. Other variables that helped that decision process were cost per occupied room, $25, April weekdays ADR, $156, and additional revenue per occupied room, $12. Our bid was $75 as compared to March. This group would displace more transients, increasing the minimum acceptable rate offered to the group. Another competitor had the same offer, therefore half of the group stayed with us and the other half with them.
Based on the results of the first quarter, March's ARI was 91, while our MPI was 105, which led to our RGI being less than 100. So we understood that we needed to decrease the overall rate reductions in order to increase ADR. However, given the information that there's an influx of small and large groups, we gave a larger rate reduction for the groups. On account of the incoming group, we decided not to fix any rate reductions for all the rooms except our targeted segments. We decided to take this course of action because we knew occupancy would feel higher than 45% thanks to the incoming group. This is when the rate increase trigger points came into play. We set the benchmark at 85% and used a 30% rate increase on all rooms except 3 categories: premium, bar, and package. We did this because the other room prices were too low and we were trying to achieve a higher ADR. For the end of the quarter, seeing as how the RFP group will leave, we decreased prices and increased our discount rates for all rooms above 5% in order to keep a higher level of occupancy.
At the beginning of quarter 2, due to the increase in revenue, we had almost 100,000 in replacement reserve funds. In April, we soft-treated the restaurant and contracted cleaning services for the meeting rooms, the environmental program, and the associate facilities. In addition, in June, we cleaned both types of guest rooms, the lobby and public areas, and some other hotel facilities. By doing this, we exhausted this option for all the facilities mentioned, which was described earlier as one of the biggest mistakes we'd made. In terms of facilities, we added retail shops as our guests were demanding more facilities, and valet parking, both of them generating revenue for the hotel. As services, we add music, entertainment, to increase guest satisfaction and to have a competitive advantage to our comp set. At the end of this quarter, we were left with $53,000, and the guest satisfaction was higher than the year-to-date value in most cases. The revenue generated by other departments was steady at 11% of the total revenue.
Due to demand increase in the quarter 2 for small groups and weekends, we increased our spending for both direct channels and also wholesalers. Our spending increased. And we also increased transient OTA by 4% in the first month to improve our intakes to match predicted rise in demand from the increase in budget airlines. Due to the successful RFP in May, we removed all spending on all groups on all segments, considering our occupancy of groups was already fairly high. To balance the potential increase in ADR, we increased spending in a transient segment to attract more customers, using direct OTA and GDS channels. To the end of the quarter, we reverted back to our strategy prior to RFP, bringing back a 6% expenditure to regain our position, and also return to spending for groups. We increased in wholesales to targets continued demand for small groups on weekends.
The third quarter was expected to have the highest occupancy, which meant that we could increase our prices to match the increased aggregate demand. We're also looking to increase our ADR, and thus we inflated our pricing even further. This decision led us to have our best yearly GOP of 44.59% and the average rate index of 102.9. This also meant that we achieved the highest rate efficiency of 99%. That shows that our ADR was extremely close to our best available rate of the month. Our hotel, however, experienced a fall in occupancy more than we had anticipated, to be below the fair share, and our MPI was at 97.85. Therefore, we reduced the pricing for the following months slightly by 1%, and our indexes were all above 100. Our hotel experienced the highest quarterly revenue of $3.1 million, which is 40% higher than Q1 and 12% higher than quarter 2.
This quarter, the RFP was for a group of 200 rooms per night every weekend from Friday to Sunday night. We considered June's weekend ADR $160, and we decided that we would accept a group only for a rate of $99 per night, otherwise the displaced revenue would be too high, affecting our RevPAR. As one of our competitors offered a lower grade, the group did not stay at our hotel.
Given the information that there will be higher occupancy levels, the trigger points will become a larger factor in increasing ADR. For the start of the quarter, we augmented the rate increased trigger points for the less wanted segments as we want to fill the targeted rooms. Consequently, we increased the rate reduction on the focus segments to ensure that we capture high levels of occupancy as our MPI was below 100. In addition, as we forecasted occupancy levels surpassed 75% due to our slight decrease in prices and our occupancy levels already at 72%, we took advantage of both rate trigger points. Specifically, we made our targeted segments more attractive by giving higher rate reductions and increasing other room prices once the 75% occupancy threshold is passed.
We started quarter 3 with 100,000 in the replacement reserve fund, and we were trying to save as much as possible for new facilities. We did not invest any more in services until the end of the year, as the only service we did not acquire was a transport van, which we considered to be irrelevant to our segment. The reputation indexes forced us to contract clean the meeting rooms, front desk, and restaurant, which would not affect the replacement funds. However, we also had to soft redo the bar lounge, lobby, and public areas, parking and environmental program, and associated facilities to increase the reputation back to 70%. At the end of the quarter, other departments generated 10.7% of the total revenue, and the guest satisfaction decreased in terms of room and public space refurbishment. However, it increased in relation to facilities and services.
Due to the record response from wholesalers and individuals for quarter 3, we increased spending for wholesalers for our transient and group segment. Our loss in revenue meant that we had to redistribute our funds, and we decided to alter our strategy to reallocate all of our spending for discounted into our focal segment that we knew were making revenue, which was direct. Although this is the case, one thing that we should have done was communicate more effectively with the channel management and pricing team, who still took the segment into consideration. Through the quarter, we saw our index for the transient direct was very low, despite direct bookings profit contribution for the last quarter being 70%. So we increased slightly to increase our rank, and we purchased a loyalty program to drive direct bookings. By the end, we drastically increased direct spending for groups and transients and GDS for transients, as we continued to lower in our index. So we redistributed half of our spending for wholesalers to our GDS transient spending, as ROI for wholesalers was 1.8%, whereas GDS it was 11.11%.
The fourth quarter was projected to have lower aggregate demand as seen last year and as predicted by the Hotel Association. Therefore, it would be logical for us to reduce our rates. However, our general manager instructed us to achieve a higher RevPAR to help finance the refurbishments needed, as the reputation of the hotel was dropping. Therefore, we could not lower our rates to a desired level. Those decisions, as could be predicted, led us to achieve a higher ADR, but decreased our occupancy dramatically. This could be observed by looking at the MPI, which was below 100 throughout the whole quarter. Our competitors decreased the prices to match the overall decrease in demand, therefore they were more attractive than us. Our overall revenue had also decreased, and we had fallen to our lowest quarterly GOP since quarter 1 of 30%. Looking back at those decisions, we can conclude that we did not follow our value-based pricing strategy and charged too high for the quality we provided.
The last RFP of this year was for November for a group of requesting 120 rooms per night every week, Monday to Friday. We used several decision variables to come up with a bid of $75, as the number of transients was not very high. However, one of our competitors offered a lower price and got the group.
For our final quarter, given the information that occupancy will reach 60% on weekdays and 55% on weekends, we predicted occupancy levels would reach 75% because of the additional demand in the market caused by the group. Therefore, we put very low rate reductions. Furthermore, we augmented rate increase for the non-focus groups to attract guests to our targeted rooms. We committed a mistake with the trigger points along with the pricing, as the occupancy levels turned out only to be 58%. This means we either should have kept our prices low or have had higher discounts to increase occupancy. Learning from our mistakes, we increased discount rates for rate reductions as occupancy index was below 100. As a result, our MPI had increased from 93 to 96, and our RGI remained above the competition thanks to a higher ADR.
At the beginning of quarter 4, we had approximately $147,000, which we were saving to invest in new facilities. Unfortunately, this was not possible due to the decrease in reputation. Therefore, we had to soft redo the meeting rooms and the lobby and public areas, as well as parking and environmental program, and associated facilities. On the last month of the quarter, we had about $90,000 left, which was not enough for any new facility. We therefore invested them in soft redoing the facilities that had a reputation of 56 to 60% to increase guest satisfaction for the next year. The other departments generated 11.2% of the total revenue. In terms of guest satisfaction, it decreased regarding room and public space refurbishment. However, it was above the year-to-date value for facilities and services.
Our increased spending meant we gained top positions for our transient and group direct. However, we did not anticipate a low season in quarter 4, and we didn't lower our spending correctly, showing a decrease from 10.3 to 7.7% from September to October for advertising ROI. Momentum for direct groups and transient became stronger, so we decreased our spending because the momentum itself would have brought extra guests. Due to the lowest revenue attributes, OTA and wholesalers, we halved our spending for both of them during this quarter. Overall, advertising cuts were done across all channels, and we also changed our budget to 5.5% at the end of the quarter due to decreasing revenues.
At the end of the year, we sat down all together and discussed whether we achieved or not the annual plan. First goal was to achieve and maintain a level of guest satisfaction equal to or higher than our competitors, which we partially completed, as the overall guest satisfaction was 67.75% for room refurbishment, 69.08% for public space refurbishment, 40% for facilities, and 92% for services. In terms of reputation, we were above or equal to most of our competitors. However, our reputation decreased throughout the year as we spent 90% of the replacement reserve funds in quarter 1, which was one of our biggest mistakes. Our second goal was to achieve and maintain an above fair market room share and an ADR equal to or higher than our competitors. As seen in this graph, we started off with higher than our competitors' occupancy, which was due to the low prices we were charging compared to our comp set. As we started to increase prices, our ADR index started increasing and was always above 100. By the end of the year, however, our NPI went below 100. Overall, both AGI and NPI were close to 100, however, we did not manage to keep them on that level or above during the whole year. Our third goal was to generate an annual gross operating profit in excess of 25% and a return on equity in excess of 8%. The overall GOP was 34.93%, much higher than the goal we set. However, the ROE was 3.66%, significantly lower than the goal set by our shareholders.